In this module, we're going to go over planning and drafting in depth. Planning involves a lot of different methods for starting your essay and then how to draft it and make use of your time. After you complete this module, you'll have a good understanding of how to start an essay and how to write an essay.
Now that you kind of see what the writing process is all about, one of the first steps you'll do is plan and draft in that process. Remember, it's a four-part process where we plan, draft, revise, and edit. So in this module, we're going to take a look at planning and drafting an essay. And we can't underestimate how important planning is. Planning is very important. You really want to make sure the reader has a sense of where you're going with the essay, so you better have that same sense. So let's talk about a few different ways you can plan this, and then talk about some things for drafting. Many of you have seen this type of outline before. If we're going to write an essay, dogs are better than cats, which, that's a very debatable topic, and we'll talk about thesis statements later, so you can see that that's an important part of it. You've seen these outlines where we have 1, dogs protect their owners, A, they guard the house, they walk around the house while the owner's away, they bark at people who come to the door, B, they guard people, they guard the owner while the owner takes them on walks against other people and animals. So that's a very typical outline that you may see, and that's really important, especially if you're writing a longer paper. I think it's a really good idea to use this method, but for shorter essays, we're going to look at some other things that may work better for you. Listing, for example. So ask yourself, what do I know about dogs? Well, they like to play, they bark at strangers, they can be taught commands, they're good with kids, they're really loyal to their owner, they're always following them around and all that. So you can just put everything you know about dogs on a piece of paper and then go through your list and see what sorts of things go together. This is a real kind of discovery process where you're just listing everything, trying to discover what you do know about something already, and then putting it all into categories. So there's some work to be done after you list. Don't just say, oh, I've got this great list, because you'll have nothing together when you write the essay. But it is a great starting point, especially if you're stuck. Another thing we do is cluster. So look at our topic. It's in the middle of the page. See it right here, dogs are better than cats. And then we have our other things. They play with kids, they guard people, they can be taught commands, they're loyal. And then from there we have other ideas. So with play with kids, they go to the park, they run in the yard. With commands, we can teach them how to fetch, sit, roll over, that sort of stuff. Blueprinting is a method that I teach a lot when I teach the 5-paragraph essay, and it's a really good one. You start out getting that thesis together, which we're going to talk about in the next module. And then after you get that thesis together, you can kind of put your key ideas being things that support the thesis, and then the details. The details are the actual things that you'll put down that are concrete, that are examples and things that you've gone through yourself, or you've observed, you've read about, seen. So this is a really quick way to get an essay going. It doesn't really help you with the intro or conclusion as much, but at least you get your body paragraphs out there and you have a thesis. So it's a really good start to an essay. And then once you have that start to your essay, you're ready to move on to the draft. So remember this, the essay does not have to be perfect. It is a rough draft. Just get your thoughts on the paper to start. A lot of people say, oh, I have writer's block, I can't start, I can't do this. You're going to see in a minute when we talk about writing an introduction how to start your essay. But if you do get stuck, move straight to the body paragraphs. Don't linger on that introduction and sit there and look at it and say, I don't know how to start, I don't know how to start. This is why the blueprint, for example, is so good, because the body paragraphs are done. Start there if you have to, and then you can go back and write an introduction and a conclusion. So get really comfortable, and remember again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a rough draft. I've said that twice on this page because it's so paramount that you understand that. It's a rough draft. That's why we revise and edit. In fact, some people, Stephen King, for example, the great author, he says writing doesn't even begin till we revise. So just know that your rough draft isn't going to be that good at all. It happens. So that's just a bit on how to plan and draft your essay. If you still have some lingering questions, you may want to go back through and take a look at this again and just look at the different ways we've come up with to start preparing yourself and planning this essay out. So that way when you start to write, you have a really good idea where you're going. The words can just come out of you, and then we can revise later.